Okay, Unit 10 begins our geometry section, and we're going to start with just all the components of circles. So we have to figure out how to graph a circle, and to do that you need the center and radius. That'll make it a bunch easier to actually graph it. So you're going to be given the circle with a standard equation, kind of like with quadratics, like it gave you the vertex. Here it's going to give you the center point and the radius. So when you go to graph it, your center, this might be right 3 up 2. And then your radius, let's say that was a radius of 3. It'd be 3 in every direction to make this nice, perfect circle. And notice here, because there's a minus in the equation, h and k, you do have to switch their sign. So if your equation said x plus 2, h would be minus 2, just opposite. And r has a square on it, so you have to square root that number to get r. Okay, most of that's super straightforward, but the tricky part is if it doesn't have standard form already given. So standard form is if you have the parentheses. And if you don't see that, then you have to complete the square. So an example of this would be like this guy right here, where you have all these numbers and letters but no parentheses separating them. So the first thing, the 6 has to move. And then we take the letters, so like x squared and y squared, you check and make sure there's no number in front. Because if there is, you have to divide everything by that number. In this one, we don't actually have to do that on this step because we don't have a number. And then we're going to take kind of the format we want, the parentheses squared, and fill it in. So x goes in front, and then we take the number with the other x and half it. So x minus 1, and notice the squared moved outside. Do the same thing with the y. So the y goes inside, squared goes outside, and then 6y halves to make 3. So you want to make sure there's no letters on these numbers. Like you don't want 1y or 3y. And then that 6 is still on the right side. So we're going to take these numbers that we put in here and add them, but square it when we do that. Because if you do something to the left, we have to do it to the right. So that's right there. And then that did combine to make 16. So for this case, our center point, HK, would be 1, negative 3, because you take this and switch its sign, and you got to go in order. And then r squared was 16, so r equals 4 when you square root. And then one thing, if you see a parentheses, like let's say you have x squared plus y squared equals 16, notice there isn't a parentheses, but there's also no other letters. So you can go ahead and say this is plus 0, and that will make it a little bit easier. H and k would be 0 there. That's just a heads up. Okay, so let's try it. Go ahead and try to find h and k, your center point and your radius, and pause the video when you do it, and then play it when you're ready to check your work. Okay, you should have gotten negative 2 and positive 1 because you switched their signs. And then r squared is 9, which means r is 3 when you go and square root these. So to draw this, you go to negative 2, 1, and put a point. And then your circle's actually going to be around this point. So we're going to go around it 3 away. And we're just going to kind of estimate like each direction, just to make sure we have this nice, perfect circle. And that's it. There is one more example with the completing the square to make sure we've got this. So go ahead and try it on your own. Pause that video, and then when you are ready to check your work, push play. Okay, for this one, we're going to add that 1 over, and we get x squared plus y squared, take away 4x, take away 4y, equals 1. There's no numbers in front here, so you don't need that dividing step. And this is where we set up the nice, pretty format. So x and y, we're going to keep that 1 over there. We're going to take this negative 4x and half it and get rid of the letter. Do the same thing with the y, put it in the y parentheses, half it. And then these numbers, we're going to square them on the other side. It's like Christmas right there. And then our standard form, the left side does not reduce at all, but the right side gets this nice whole number. So from that, go ahead and try to get the center and radius and pause the video so you have time, and then push play when you're ready to check that. Okay, center should be 2, 2, because you take these and switch their sign. And then radius squared was 9, which means radius is 3 again. Sorry, I got the same example almost. So on my drawing here, we're going to go to 2, 2, and put that center point. That's what I just drew. And then a distance of 3 away in every direction. Try to make that exact, because that'll give you a nice circle if you're exact. And that's it. So tonight's homework, make sure you're using graph paper to make these nice and pretty.